What's up guys, it's Josh back with another video and welcome back to the channel. And today I wanted to dive into the world of Docker and Rocky Linux 9. Now Docker is an amazing tool that simplifies the process of managing application processes in containers. And if you're new to Docker or looking to expand your skills, you're in the right place. Let's get to it. Now, before we jump into the installation and usage, let's understand what Docker is all about. And so I brought you guys over to docker.com. This is where you can get all the information about Docker. There's documentation, information on how to install Docker on the various operating systems. And this is your go-to page for anything Docker. And one of the things I want to point out, which I will look at a little later, if you go over here to the next page, I have this open, but it's Docker Hub. So it's basically hub.docker.com. It's a subdomain of docker.com. And this is where you can look at all the images that you can use on Docker. Now back over to the home page. Just to explain a little more, Docker is a platform that allows you to package, distribute, and manage applications within containers. And these containers are lightweight, portable, and can run on any system that supports Docker, making it incredibly versatile. Now, unlike traditional virtual machines, Docker containers share the host OS kernel. Before we move forward, I want to give a quick shout out to CIQ, the official partner of Rocky Linux. Rocky Linux is a Linux distribution that is intended to be a downstream, complete, binary compatible release using installation Red Hat Enterprise Linux operating system source code. Let's get to
the project is led by Gregory Cursor, who was the founder of the CentOS project. So check out Rocky Linux at ciq.co.
So let's go down and run, or at least check for updates right fast. We can use the DNF package manager, and this is the same on any RHEL based OS. So like Rocky Linux, Alma, CentOS, you know, the whole nine yards. You can use DNF. So sudo DNF check updates. And let's press enter, type in our sudo password, and you want to make sure you have an account with sudo privileges. And it looks like we have a couple updates, so let's go on and actually run these updates. Because I always like to have a fresh system, or at least a system with all the updates. So it's some security, looks like some security updates, SE Linux policy updates, NSS. Well, I skip ahead, you guys won't see this. I'll go down and skip ahead and I'll be back when it finishes. But this is just basically running those updates on your system and a prerequisite to installing any new software. All right, so our updates are done. And what we need to do is add the official Docker repository to our server. And so I already had a command written out. You guys will see me paste it in there right fast, but I'll walk you guys through what it's actually doing. It's basically DNF config manager add repo, and we're basically adding that Docker CE, the community edition repo, so we can install Docker on the system. And I think this is one of the best ways if you have like a home lab like I have, and you just want to set up Docker to run a bunch of containers, you know, handling different services on your network. Then this is a good way of actually doing it by adding the official repo. You'll get the most up-to-date packages, you know, for Docker. So when you run your updates on the system, it'll check this repository for any changes and then update the system. So let's go down and press enter. That'll go down and add that repo, and let's quickly go through and install our packages. So all we have to do is type sudo dnf install, and then the package name is docker-ce, which is basically a community edition. And then we need the client as well, so docker-ce-cili for a client, and then containered.il. So let's go and type that in as well. We need all three of those packages installed in order to get Docker up and running. And it looks like I spelled containered wrong, and I looked at it, you know, kind of twice. I was like, that don't look right, but I went on and pressed it anyway. It looks like I got it right this time. So we hit Y for yes to install those packages. It also installs the dependencies, so installing weak dependencies up here. You got Docker build X plugin, Rootless Extra, and Compose plugin. So 2 plugins come with it by default. And then let's go and press Y to get it installed. It'll go through, install those packages for us, and I'll be right back. All right, so Docker is installed. And one of the first things I recommend you guys do is check to make sure the services are running. Rocky Linux uses systemd. And so you have to use the systemctl command. So let's type sudo systemctl, and then let's check the status of Docker and service. There we go. So press enter, and as you can see, it doesn't start up right away, and it's also not enabled. And the way you can tell is under here, active, it says inactive and dead, and then also disabled, meaning that it won't start on boot. And so we want to handle both of those, issues right fast. So we can type sudo ctl, and then let's type starts, and that'll start our Docker service. And then also let's enable the Docker service, so anytime we reboot the system, it will start up the Docker service. And so let's check the status again right fast, and as you can see, it's active and running, and it's also enabled. So that's what we handle right fast. So let's go and clear that right fast. And first thing I kind of want to show you guys is the version, how to look at the version. So let's go and type Docker, and this is just going into or rolling right into the Docker commands, and it's a lot of commands, and I'll show you guys that in a second once we go through. Check the version, so you go docker -- version, press enter. That'll give us the version. We currently have 25.0.3, and this is the build ID, so we get to go with that. So let's go on and clear. And one of the other things you want to do is add your user account to the Docker group. When you get Docker installed on the operating system, it'll create a Docker user and group, and so you want to add your user to this group in order to have access to run Docker commands without typing sudo. So let's go on and do that now. So let's type sudo user mod and then -a, and just to break this out, A is for append and G is for group. And then you also have to type the group name, which is Docker, and then the user account that you want to add to that group. So just breaking it out, sudo user mod -a for append -G for group, and then the group name, which is Docker, and Josh, which is my account that I'm using on this system. So let's press enter. That'll make those changes to that group, and then we can look at our groups right fast. I'll just quickly show it. We can go groups and then Josh and press enter, and that'll tell us the groups we're in. So you can go Josh. We got obviously the Josh account, and then these are the groups underneath it. So we're part of the Josh group, which each user account, when it's created, it creates its own group as well. So Josh, and then I'm part of the Will group, which means I have sudo privileges, as well as the Docker group. So that's just a simple way of checking, if your account has been added to that group successfully, because it really doesn't give you any output, but that's a good thing when it doesn't give you output, because that means it didn't fail. The only time it'll show you something is if it failed, if the command actually failed. All right, and so now we made those changes. One thing, when you run this command, you're running it using sudo. It's using the root account, so it doesn't really affect the Josh account, or Josh account won't see those changes, but the root account will. So what we have to do is log out of server and then log back into it, and we'll have, and basically what we're doing is refreshing the shell. And so let's quickly do that. So let's exit out, and then let's connect back to it. I already know what the IP address is. Type in our password. Good to go. Let's go down and clear. Now let me show you guys how to get some help. That's the first thing with Docker. So if we type Docker and then --help, this will give us all the commands you can run on the system. So let's go back up here. Let's go to the top and start off with, they got the common commands. So these are all your common commands with an explanation next to it. So run, execute, ps, build, pull, push, images, all that good stuff. You got your management commands, builder, build X, images, plugins, all that good stuff. You got swarm commands, and then you have some other commands down here at the bottom. And then you also have options. So just wanted to break it out for you, or at least show you guys how to find the help. And then also back up here at the top, if you look up here, it says usage. So this is how you actually run the command. So Docker, then your options, and then the command. That's basically how you do it. And then also, let me show you guys some more information. This will display system-wide information for Docker. So if we type Docker and then info, and this will give you like version names for the clients up here, you know what I'm saying, the version numbers, and all the information about the client as well as the server, like the version of the server, plugins, basically everything. It's kind of like a system-wide or global, information that you can pull up when you run that command. And all I did was run Docker info. So you can test that out when you get Docker installed on your system as well. So the first area of Docker I want to cover is basically the images, because that's the first thing. In order to run containers, you need images on the system. Now let me run the first one, the hello world, and this is what most people use to test out Docker, just to verify that it's working, because it'll basically download this image and then run it on the system, and this will kind of verify, it'll basically spit out some information for you about the system just to verify that the system is up and running. So let's go on and run that right fast. So Docker run and then hello world. You can test this out as well on your system as you're getting it, and it won't find it locally, but it'll pull it from the library and it'll give you some information. Basically it pulls the latest version of hello world, pull complete, digest, status, you know, all that, and then gives you some information, basically spits out or print out some information on the screen for you when it runs this Docker image. So it says hello from Docker, you know, this message shows that your installation appears to be working correctly. I won't go through all of it, but it says the Docker client contacted Docker daemon, all that good stuff. So everything is successfully set up on the system. And so let me go down and show you guys how to list local images, because this is very important. You need to know what images are on the system in order to run your containers. So, and the command is simply Docker and then images. So that's the subcommand for it. So if we press enter, this will give you all the images that are downloaded on the server. And that's why I wanted to run that first image, because it'll download it on the system. You know what I'm saying? And so this is your image, and typically, you know, this is just the test one, so you can't really do much with it. But once you have other images here, then you can run your containers using those images, and they're probably what you want. Like you can download a Ubuntu image, or Rocky Linux image, Arch Linux, you know, image, and run whatever software you want on it, or develop within that container, you know, save that container if you want to, and push out, you know, applications as you need to, you know, using Docker. Now let me go down and show you guys how to find more images, like I stated. So all we have to do is type another subcommand for Docker. So Docker and then search is the subcommand, and then you want to search for whatever image you want. This will allow you to search the hub. So let's go down and press enter. That'll search for all the Ubuntu images that are out there, and you'll see a whole bunch of them. You'll see official ones that are put out there. So Ubuntu, yeah, I think this is the official latest version of Ubuntu, and you got a whole bunch with different applications on it. So like Nginx or Squid or Prometheus, you know, Apache already installed, Bind, MySQL. So that's super dope right there. You know what I'm saying? You'll find images that people have shared, you know, out there. And then also let's check for another one. So let's look for Rocky Linux right fast. So let's go Rocky Linux and press enter, and I'll search for even more. So as you can see, you know, that's the official build for Rocky Linux. You got different, you know, releases of it. So desktop, there's a desktop version for 8. Let's see, Rocky Linux shim. Let's see, Rocky Linux -9. But the official ones is essentially you have to put 9 in there, and I'll show you guys that because you have to put the tag. And so this will require me to go back over to the website so I can show you guys under the Docker Hub. So let's say we want to get Rocky Linux installed. So let's look for Rocky Linux. Boom, here's the overview. This is the official build for Rocky Linux. You can get whichever one you want to install. So let's scroll down a little bit. It kind of tells you down here as far as the tags. So the Rocky Linux tag is intentionally missing, so don't type just Rocky Linux. You have to put the major versions behind it, because if you look over here, or look, let's see, under tags, it's kind of hard to find it. You won't actually see it, but you can download, you know, from 9, and you have to put it in this format. So this kind of tells you how to do it, and I want to get 9, so I'm gonna actually copy this because I want to pull down that image. And so let's switch back over to our terminal. Let's paste that in there and press enter, and that's basically how you download Docker or Rocky Linux image, or a new image file. And cool, there we go. So let's check out our images right fast. So if we go back up, let's go Docker images, and as you can see, we have a new image. Cool, right? And before we move forward actually running that, I want to go through a little bit more of the image commands that you could do. You can actually remove an image, and we'll bring this one back, the Rocky Linux one back, but I just want to at least show you guys how to delete an image. And the Hello World one is tied to a container, but Rocky Linux, since we just downloaded, we didn't run any containers using it, then we can just quickly remove it. So let's go on and type docker, and then the command is, and let me move the cursor out the way, but rm and then I. So just make sure you don't forget that I, but it's remove basically image and then the image name. So I already know what it is, so let's go Rocky Linux, and this may not work because of the name. Well, actually, let's put the tag in there as well. So :9 and press enter. That should remove it for us. So that's removed from our system. And if we go back and look at our images, you'll see that one's gone, but let's go on and bring it back. Let's pull down Rocky Linux 9 again, because I'm gonna use that just to show you guys how to spin up containers. Now, one more thing I want to show you guys is another command, and I won't run it, but it's docker image prune. And over time, you'll start to see that you start accumulating a whole bunch of local images on your system. And some of those images are not even tied to any containers that you created. And that's even if they're stopped or, running, either or. So you can remove all those if you want to by using this prune option. So docker image prune, that'll delete any image file that's not tied to a container, whether it's running or stopped, and get rid of all the extra containers that may be taking up space on your system, because these things take up space. You know what I'm saying? If you look back up here, when we ran the docker image, you'll see that this image file was 176 megabytes. It's not that big, it's relatively small, but when you got 30 of them, 40 of them, or whatever, they could take up a good amount of space. So I just kind of wanted to show it to you. Not gonna run it, because then I'll have to download Rocky Linux 9 again, which really doesn't matter. I could do it, but just don't want to waste time. Let's go on and get to the fun part, which is running our containers. All right, so let me go on and back this off and then clear the screen right fast so I can show you guys the base way of running a container. Now, it's not that difficult. It's basically docker run. And then what we want to do is interactive mode, so -it. And one of the things I like to do is name my containers, so you can put that option in here, so --name, and then you can name it whatever you want. So I'm gonna just name it Rocky, and then we have to put our image file. So if you guys remember, it is Rocky Linux, and that should be good to go. So if we press enter, that should create our, and then I forgot, we got to put the full version as well. So put that port and then 9, so Rocky Linux 9, and let's go down and press enter, and this will create our image file. And we're also connected to this container, and when it creates a container, it creates a customized ID for the container. I'm gonna go down and copy that, because I can use that a little later. I'm gonna show you guys how to create an image with something, let's say, that's already installed on it. So we're there. So one thing you could do is update the system. So let me show you guys that. Let's run sudo dnf, because this is just like running a normal operating system that's installed on hardware, on physical hardware, but it's running within a container, so all the commands will work pretty much the same. So sudo dnf, and then let's run the update command and press enter. And I forgot we don't have to write sudo, because if you notice up at the front, and that's one thing I should have pointed out, and that's why I typed sudo, because I didn't think about it, but this container is logged in as root. So the interactive mode will automatically, log in as root, or, use the root account. Doesn't have any accounts on it or anything. So let's press enter. That'll run the updates for our container. You probably don't want to do this right away, because it's going to add more space that's taken up for this image, or this container, especially when we save it. So let's type Y to go on and finish those updates. All right, cool. So we ran our updates on it. Let's say we want to install some software. Let's say we want to create a development environment with MySQL Server on it. I'm just using that as an example. So let's type dnf install MySQL-server, and let's press enter. That'll install MySQL and all its dependencies. We're good to go. And this is all within this container. It's containerized. This has nothing to do with the operating system. It's not installing it on the operating system. This is installing it directly in that container. So we have MySQL Server on here now, which is super cool. And so our installation is complete of MySQL Server, and the way you get out of the container, which is gonna stop that container, is by typing exit. And similar to logging out of a shell and any other distro, just type exit and it will exit out of that container for us. Now, let me show you guys how to view that container. So if we type Docker and then PS, this is the way you list out containers, and I'm just showing you this command first. It's not going to show anything because it only shows active and running containers, and when we exited out of that container that we were just in, it stopped that container. So Docker PS press enter, you won't see anything, but I just wanted to at least show you guys the headers of it. So container ID and all that good stuff. And then in order to see the ones that are stopped, we just have to run Docker PS and then -A, and that'll show us all inactive or exited as well as active containers that are running, which we don't have any ones running currently. They're all inactive. So if we type that PS-A, that'll show us that container that we created. As you can see, this ID, I don't know if you guys remember, but if we scroll up here, you should be able, well, that's too far, but that's the same container ID that was shown at the command prompt. So the FF, you know, and all those weird numbers or whatever, it's just a randomized container ID number. And I also just show you guys something else, and this is once you start creating a bunch of containers, this is another option that you could throw in there with the PS command. So it's -L, and this will show you the latest containers you created. So if we press enter, that'll only show that latest one that we created. So that's an easier way of filtering out when you have a bunch of containers out there. Now let's say we want to start a container. Let's start this container right here. You can run the command Docker and then start, and there's also a stop as well. So if you have a container that's running and you want to stop it, you can just type Docker start or stop. So let's press enter, boom, that'll start that container. We can run the PS command again, and as you can see, the status of it has changed. If we look up here, it's different from when we ran it earlier. It said exited. Right now it says it's up. So it's been up for 7 minutes, and that's that container name. And then we also named it Rocky. I don't know if you guys remember, but Rocky. And just show you guys, you can use the name as well as the ID. We could just copy Rocky, or actually we don't have to copy it. We could just type it out. So Docker stop and then Rocky, and that will stop that container for us. So it may take a second. Not sure why it's taking a second. Should be instantaneous, but you can use the name as well as the ID. I believe it may be harder to translate the name, and that's why it took a little time, but the container ID most of the time is instantaneous. So, and we can run that PS command again right fast, so we can see that it's been exited. It was exited, so we're good to go. Now let's go down and start that container again right fast. So let's just press up arrow, and then we can type the start, press enter. That'll start that container for us. And I want to show you guys how to connect to a running container. So let's run the PS-L command again. As you see, the status is up, and let me show you guys how to connect to it once it's back up. So let's go Docker, and then there's an exec command, and this will allow you to interact with the containers that you already have built. So -IT for interactive mode, and then the container name, we can use the ID or the name. I'm gonna just copy the ID this time, just show you interchangeably, and then we can type bash at the end of it, and that'll get us in there. And so we're back into that running container. And actually, let's clear a little bit. All right, so let me show you guys something else that's super cool. So one thing you can do with Docker is you can create your own local images. And I kind of did this video for like developers, people that want to have a development environment within a container, and that way they can, you know, create something and package it, you know, within a container and share it out with people, and they can run it on any distro that they want to. So let me exit out of this container, and then let's just check to make sure it's not running anymore. It is running, so we can run the stop right fast. So Docker and then stop, because you need to stop the container. We have, let's say we're developing in SQL. We're creating something using MySQL as well as a front-end application or something like that. I'm just using that as an example. And we have all our stuff, you know, locally set up. Let's create a image of the container that we just created, and that's why we need the container ID. And I'm gonna just go down and copy it, that way we can easily get it. But let's go down and type Docker commits, and like I said, I believe I said this earlier, but a lot of these commands kind of look like GitHub, but it's -M, and this is for what this image is for, and we have to put this in quotes. So put it in double quotes, and then let's say this is MySQL install, and it's basically just a description of what we actually have within that container, because you can also add these images up to the Docker hub. I'm not going to go through that portion of it, but I just wanted to show you guys this, and then -A for the author. And so I'm gonna just put KeepItTechie in here. So let's type that in there, and then we got our quotes. Yeah, there we go. So, and then also the container ID, and that's why I was saying we need that container ID, and then also we need to create a repository, so to speak. So let's just type KeepItTechie, and then / Rocky Linux, and then my SQL. I'm gonna put a dash in there for my SQL. Let's go down and press enter, and this shit creates our image using that container file that we get, or that container that we created with those updates or the installation of SQL. So if we go under Docker, and this is considered a local image, and like I said, once you create the image, you can upload it to the GitHub. You just need an account. You can upload it to the GitHub repository with the information, you know, that you put in there, and if it's approved, I believe it has to go through an approval process. But anyway, let me show you guys the local, you know, image. So if we type Docker images, press enter, you'll see our image that we created locally. You can see the size, you know, the latest, the image ID, you know, when it was created, obviously the repository name, and then the actual image name. That's just the way I created it. I mean, you can create it however you want to. I just put my name in there, and then the image name, and this is all local, so you don't really have to worry about it, you know what I'm saying? And then you can create other containers using this image. So it already has MySQL installed on there. It has the latest version, or it has the latest updates of Rocky Linux, at least as of today. And then the latest version of MySQL, you get to go. You know what I'm saying? You can create a container using that image and then develop from there if you want to. That's one of the cool things about Docker. Now, there's a whole lot more information I could put out there. It's very difficult for me to go through pretty much everything. I did a Docker video, I would say about 2 years ago, where I kind of covered a lot of these basic commands. I just wanted to kind of do it again and add to it by, like, for instance, creating those local image files. I know I didn't do that in the original one, and so I thought that was super cool to add to it. But you've now got Docker up and running on Rocky Linux 9, and I tried to cover the basics of Docker, from installation and running containers. So remember, Docker is a powerful tool with endless possibilities for application deployment and management. And if you found this video helpful, go down and smash that like button and subscribe to the KeepItTechie channel for more Linux and tech tutorials. So hope you guys have a productive day, and of course, keep it